CBC's senior entertainment reporter Eli Glasner joins us now. So Eli, walk us through this verdict.
Well, guilty all 9 counts of racketeering and sex trafficking charges. They used the Mann Act against R. Kelly. That is the same legal proceeding they used against Weinstein, and able to show how it wasn't just R. Kelly, but the people around him, security personnel, and basically saying that this was a conspiracy to try and keep witnesses and accusers silent. And the racketeering charge is very significant because that comes with it a penalty of up to 20 years sentence, depending on, of course, we don't know the sentence at this point. But though it seems like the jury deliberated, asked for some details, actually listened to some very disturbing recordings, but given the complexity and the list of charges, came back with a very confident verdict against R. Kelly. No mistaking how they felt given what they've been listening to over 5 weeks now.
And of course, this has been a story unfolding in the media spotlight for years. Can you remind us of how we got here?
I mean, at one point, R. Kelly was an R&B superstar. He was one of the leading voices of his generation. If you talked about R&B, you talked about the kind of sultry style that he had. I mean, how many people got married to some of his songs like I Believe I Can Fly? And of course, that celebrity almost became armor that when these charges and women began speaking out, it took some time for them to be heard, for them to be believed. There have been documentaries talking about the women who spoke out about what R. Kelly did to them. There was a child pornography course in 2002 where ultimately he was found not guilty. They couldn't prove that the girl on that tape was the minor. But I think this case, which began with the charges in 2019, really was the turning point, with numerous women who were willing to speak, with 34 witnesses, I believe, and really giving much more detail in terms of what happened. 9 women and 2 men accusing the singer of very disturbing behavior. If you listen to what the prosecutors said in their final statements to the jury, saying it is time to hold the defendant responsible for the pain he inflicted on each of his women, listing the women's name. We heard about tapes played for the jury. We heard about witnesses describing the violent temper that Kelly had, the harsh physical abuse, and he would use his celebrity. It seems, what we heard from accusations and the witnesses, as kind of a cudgel, but also a reward, offering people fame, offering people the opportunity to, maybe have a career of their own, but also threatening them into silence. And so he created this system of control that made it incredibly difficult for his accusers to speak out. And it's taken some time, and I think you can credit the Me Too movement in some part, that now you have women that were willing to step forward and speak. And this was still with many fans rallying around R. Kelly, so much so that there had to be a mute R. Kelly movement, that there were people saying this is disturbing. We believe the women, trying to stop his music being played, trying to kind of pierce that armor of celebrity. And, it's interesting, the defense for R. Kelly basically kind of called this a conspiracy, as we heard, actually invoked Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., described the witnessers as stalkers, as hustlers and groupies, and said, forget all that fluff, forget what happened to Aaliyah and so much else. But certainly the jury has come back with their decision this afternoon, and that could lead to a very serious sentence for Kelly.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. In terms of what you'll be looking for going forward, it obviously will be the sentence.
It's the sentence, but there are still 2 sex-related charges in Illinois and Minnesota, and those will be very serious cases themselves. So, much like Harvey Weinstein, some disturbing parallels. We're found guilty, but other cases moving forward, and it appears there still will be other trials that R. Kelly will have to stand for.
Eli, thank you. That is the CBC's senior entertainment reporter, Eli Glasner, in Toronto.